Over 3,000 men went down with it, the most powerful battleship ever built. 9 guns so large, each shell weighed as much as a small car. A ship so heavily armored it seemed almost impossible to sink, and it never even reached its destination. The Yamato was sent on a mission everyone knew it would not return from. The men on board knew it. The commanders who gave the order knew it. 80 years later, those 3,000 men are still down there, in a wreck so shattered, so deep, that recovering them is essentially impossible. This is the story of what happened to the Yamato, and why it will probably stay there forever. Japan built the Yamato in complete secrecy because it had to. By the late 1930s, Japan knew it could never compete with American shipbuilding numbers in a prolonged war. So it made a different calculation. Build something so large, so powerful, that no American battleship could fight it on equal terms. Construction began in 1937 at the Kure Naval Arsenal in Hiroshima. The dry dock had to be deepened by a full meter just to accommodate the hull. Screens and canopies were erected around the dock so passing ships could not see what was being built inside. What they were hiding was extraordinary. At nearly 73,000 tons fully loaded, the Yamato was the heaviest warship ever constructed. 862 feet long. 9 18-inch guns arranged in 3 triple turrets, the largest naval guns ever mounted on any warship in history. Each shell weighed over 1,400 kilograms and could hit a target 42 kilometers away. Each turret alone weighed nearly 3,000 tons, heavier than most of the destroyers that would sail alongside it. No Allied battleship carried anything close. The Yamato was commissioned in late 1941, just after the attack on Pearl Harbor. For much of the war, it served as the flagship of the combined fleet. It was present at the Battle of Midway in 1942, but it never fired a single shot. It spent most of the war moving between naval bases, too valuable to risk, and consuming too much fuel to deploy freely. The most powerful battleship ever built spent most of the Second World War doing almost nothing. It was simply too valuable to deploy because Japan could not afford to use it. By early 1945, the war was effectively over for Japan. Its carrier aviation was gone. Most of its capital ships were at the bottom of the Pacific. The Yamato sat at anchor, burning through fuel Japan could not replace, waiting for orders that had nowhere logical to go. Then the Americans landed on Okinawa. When Emperor Hirohito was briefed on the army's plans to defend the island, he reportedly asked where the Navy was, what it was doing, and if Japan had no more ships. Feeling the pressure, Japanese Navy commanders conceived Operation Ten-Go, or Operation Heaven. The plan was brutally simple. The Yamato, along with the light cruiser Yahagi and 8 destroyers, would sail to Okinawa with only enough fuel for a one-way trip. The battleship would beach itself on the shore and use its enormous guns as fixed artillery against the American invasion force until the ammunition ran out. Vice Admiral Seiichi Ito, chosen to lead the mission, initially refused. He called it futile and wasteful. The ship captains were not even told the full details until 2 days before departure. In the end, every one of them followed their orders. The crew were not given the option to leave, except for around 80 men who were new, sick, or unfit for duty. 67 naval cadets who had arrived just 3 days earlier were ordered off the ship. Sake was drunk in a ceremonial farewell. The cadets begged to stay. They were gently but firmly sent home. On the afternoon of April 6, 1945, the Yamato and her escorts left port. Every man aboard knew the ship was not coming back. Fuel depot workers secretly loaded the ships with almost all the remaining fuel in the port, ignoring orders, giving the fleet every possible chance. It probably still wasn't enough for a return journey. If you're enjoying this, subscribe. There's a lot more coming. American submarines spotted the Japanese force immediately. Contact reports flashed to Vice Admiral Mitchell, who commanded the American fast carrier force of 15 carriers and nearly 900 aircraft. The decision was made to send the planes. The battleships weren't needed. Nearly 400 aircraft swarmed the Yamato, fighters, dive bombers, and torpedo planes. The Yamato had 6 fighters as air cover. 6. In the damage control rooms, Japanese officers made desperate decisions, deliberately flooding their own starboard engine and boiler rooms to prevent the ship from capsizing, trapping hundreds of their own crew below in the process. By early afternoon, the Yamato had been hit by at least 11 torpedoes and 6 bombs. It was listing badly, with fires burning from bow to stern. Then the fires reached the forward ammunition magazines. The explosion sent a mushroom cloud 6 kilometers into the sky. The blast registered on seismographs, and people on the Japanese mainland saw it from over 200 kilometers away. Of the 3,332 men aboard, 3,055 were lost. Around 276 survived. The Yamato never came within 100 miles of Okinawa. The wreck was first located in 1985. It lies about 340 meters down in the East China Sea, roughly 300 kilometers southwest of Kyushu. And what they found was not a ship. It was a debris field. The magazine explosion tore the Yamato apart. The forward section lies on its side. The stern section rests upside down nearby. The main gun turrets broke free when the ship rolled and are now lying separately on the ocean floor. There is no intact hull to raise. A business group in Kure announced plans in 2009 to raise the main gun turrets alone and estimated the cost would run into billions of yen. Nothing came of it. And then there is the deeper reason. In Japan, the Yamato is not simply a piece of naval history. It is sacred ground. The word Yamato was historically used as a poetic name for Japan itself. The battleship represents something profound, a symbol of sacrifice, of a nation that sent its greatest weapon on a mission it knew would fail, and of the men who sailed anyway. 3,055 of those men are still down there. In 2015, a group of Japanese lawmakers began formal discussions about raising the ship to recover crew remains. The discussions produced no action. The cultural and political sensitivity around disturbing that wreck is enormous. And even if Japan decided tomorrow that it wanted to raise the Yamato, no technology currently exists capable of lifting 73,000 tons of shattered steel from 1,100 feet of water. It is effectively impossible. The ship is not sitting there waiting to be raised. It is in pieces, scattered across the ocean floor, held together by nothing. So this is the truth behind why the Yamato has never been recovered. The largest battleship ever built was sent on a suicide mission by commanders who knew it would fail. It sank in 2 hours, taking over 3,000 men with it. The explosion shattered the hull so completely that raising it is effectively impossible, even if the politics allowed it, even if the money existed, even if everyone agreed it should be done. The Yamato was supposed to be Japan's answer to everything. Its final act was to sail straight into the impossible and disappear, and that is where it remains.